Everybody, it's Misha. Today is a super important topic. I think they're all super important, but we're going to be talking about insulin resistance and your liver. So I did not do this right. There we go. So I want to talk about it today. We're going to talk about what's causing it. We're going to talk about how you can tell some weird signs that it may be you. Of course, if you suspect that you have non-alcoholic fatty liver disease or any kind of liver disease, please check with your physician. I want to say that up front. I'm not a physician. I'm not a nutritionist. I'm a woman who suffered with most of the things up above. And when all of the medical professional wasn't able to help me, just give me medications, I went on a search and finally found something that actually changed my health. And I will be forever thankful for that. So we're going to talk about what I've been finding in the past few years as I've been getting better so that it can help you. And specifically today, we're going to talk about insulin resistance and your liver. So I'm a little bit late this morning. I want to apologize. I had a beautiful visit from my grandson last night. Ended up that I needed him to stay. And so I had to get him ready for school this morning. So a little bit late, not normal. But let's dive into non-alcoholic fatty liver disease and insulin resistance. So as I'm doing that, you guys, where are you all from? I'm up in Maryland, only for maybe about 6 months more, and then I'm moving somewhere in Kentucky. But this life has been wild and crazy, and I love to hear where everybody else is from. And someday I would love to be traveling and visiting your area, wherever in the world that is. I have plans to try and get to New Zealand within the next year or so. So there's just like, I love hearing where everybody's from and knowing that we're helping. Let's see if I can fix this. Sorry, I forgot I had a headset on. Probably the quicker way to do it would be to just turn off the Bluetooth. There we go. Okay, if you guys were having troubles hearing me, I apologize. I was doing my morning routine and forgot to take my bone conducting headset off. So, all right, let's get into it. Non-alcoholic fatty liver disease is just super important. And one of the reasons I want to stop, and I'm not trying to fearmonger, I want people to understand what's happening so that you can get better. But non-alcoholic fatty liver disease and the resulting downline things like fibrosis and cirrhosis and liver failure all start with insulin resistance, and it's causing 25% of deaths worldwide, not just in the US, but worldwide. 25% of deaths are liver related, high Addison. And so that's important. If a quarter of us are suffering with this, we need to know what's happening. Now, it's also interesting to note that if a person has non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, it's very, very highly likely, I don't have a number, that they're also insulin resistant. They're so insulin resistant. They're so tightly related that you rarely find one without the other. So people with insulin resistance start to notice that their liver is having problems. People who notice their liver having problems first are later on diagnosed with diabetes or some type of insulin resistance. So we need to know there's a very tight relationship between liver disease as far as lifestyle related liver disease and insulin resistance. Yes, there are some other things like bacterial or viral diseases or genetic disorders or whatnot that can happen, but primarily liver disease is highly linked to insulin resistance. And this is what's happening. Okay, let's dive into what's happening. And then I'm going to tell you how you can tell if your liver is at risk. Now, number one, I want to say this in a gentle way. I hope to say this. If you have insulin resistance, you need to be thinking about your liver, right? You need to be thinking about your liver. Just understand that. So when we have insulin resistance, we're going to take a few steps back. What's really the cause of it? And a lot of people are getting confused by high glucose, insulin resistance, diabetes. So let's break it down really quick because they're all related. It's all one big chain of disorder. So when we have too much glucose in the bloodstream, that's creating too much insulin in the bloodstream. One step further back. Why? When we have blood sugar or glucose in the bloodstream, the body cues the pancreas to start producing insulin, which is a hormone that helps transport that sugar. Now, insulin does a lot of things, but we're going to talk about it helping transport this glucose or sugar energy to your system. Every single cell in your body needs insulin, needs energy to get to be functioning. Every single cell has an insulin receptor on it. In the words of Dr. Bickman, every single cell we've looked at so far, we haven't found one so far that doesn't have an insulin receptor on it or multiple insulin receptors. So when we have too much sugar, we're telling the body we need more insulin to carry that sugar and deliver it. So now we have chronically high sugar, we have chronically high insulin. That chronically high insulin then moves into a stage where it starts to cause dysfunction in the body. Now, the dysfunction that high insulin is causing is what we're calling insulin resistance. May not, in retrospect, be the best term for it, but that's what it's called. So, insulin resistance, I always tell people it covers about 3 stages of things. So, some cells are not taking up the insulin anymore at all. Some cells are acting just normal, and some cells are taking in too much insulin. So, insulin resistance is just this stage where we're seeing this breakdown of normal function in the body because of the lack of being able to get energy into the cells. There's a number of reasons why they become resistant. As cells are becoming insulin resistant, they're having a harder and harder time dealing with energy. And the more they have a hard time dealing with the energy load that's bringing into them, the more they shut down. Our cells, all of our cells, are highly protective of themselves. So when our cells start to, whatever cells they are, start to be like, ooh, this is not good. I can't hold the load that's going on. I don't understand what's happening. I have to deal with what's happening here before I can deal with more. And now they shut the door and say, no more insulin, no more energy delivery. I've got to figure out what's going on here. So the cells may need energy. They just don't know what's happening, why they're being inundated with it. So they shut down, and they tightly shut down because they're like, I got to figure this out. This is insulin resistance. Where it's affecting us, there's a number of places. Now, the 3 biggest places that we talk about becoming insulin resistant first are your brain, your heart, and your kidneys. But I always love to throw liver in there because liver is one of the places that starts to really break down the sugars and regulate what's happening in your body with the energy and the fats and all of this. So, in the presence of insulin, what's really happening, insulin resistance, is you've now pushed too much sugar through your liver. So sugar in all of its form, just glucose, which is sucrose and fructose combined, but any number of those, glucose, sucrose, fructose, it's overloading the liver. Now, the liver normally takes these packages and it breaks it down and it starts making it into these little packages called glycogen. And what those are these bound forms of glucose together that it then stores away. It's like a defense system. When you need energy and you're not eating, your liver goes, hey, I'm here to the rescue. I'm going to break down this glycogen store. It's going to go back into glucose and it's going to give you the energy you need. That's a normal functioning liver. And that's what it's supposed to do. In the presence of insulin resistance, it starts to store too much of this glycogen. When we get too insulin resistant, then the cues that the liver is supposed to be storing glycogen are not happening properly. And so even in the presence of high blood sugars, the liver starts to break down these packages and send more sugar into the bloodstream. Now your blood sugars are going up. Now you have this damaging stuff that one doctor told me is like having glass shards running through your veins. You have this happening inside of your system, even when you're not eating more sugar than you were last week, last month, last year. Your insulin resistance has gotten to a stage that it's now telling your liver or not being able to communicate with your liver properly. So your blood sugars are going up because your liver is not sensing that and it's breaking down its stores. So the other thing that the liver does is it takes these packages and converts them into triglycerides. Now, the number one thing that converts into triglycerides in the liver, and we're going to talk a lot about that today, is fructose. Okay. So when we start having sugar dump out of our liver and we have fat, triglycerides being impacted in our liver, now we're starting to have non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. We have a liver that's struggling. If the liver is struggling, your gallbladder is also struggling. So the liver is producing bile, the gallbladder holds the bile and shoots it out the bile ducts. That's meant to break down those fats and make them usable energy. If your bile duct, because it's so clogged from the stuff that the liver is passing into it, is becoming thick and sludgy like quicksand instead of like a liquid, then the gallbladder is now suffering and you're not getting the bile passed through your bile duct that allows that fat to be broken down and converted back into energy for your body. So now you have fatigue and you have just your body feels like it's in pain, and you have your triglycerides are going up and your blood sugars are going up. Your liver is being overworked. When you see those things happening, your liver is overworked and it's struggling. So we need to understand all of that a little bit. Okay, that's like a really overview picture of what's happening. So we know the liver is converting sugars, right? We know the liver is trying to store some sugars for emergency energy later. And we know that the liver is converting fats, and both the conversion of sugar and fats are happening at disproportionate rates with insulin resistance present. Sugars are being dumped into the bloodstream too much. Fats are being converted into triglycerides and held too much and not being broken down. So those triglycerides also get broken down just like the glycogen packages and create energy in your system. So in the presence of insulin resistance, too much fat storage, too little sugar retention, we have a liver that's struggling, and now it's making the rest of the body struggle. And it's also causing this sludge in the gallbladder that eventually leads to um, inflamed cholecystitis, inflamed gallbladder, a gallbladder that needs to be removed, gallstones, all of that's happening. In the meantime, you're not breaking down the fats that you need. You're not getting the nutrients that you need. You're starting to be a little bit nutrient deficient. And where did it all start? It all really started from insulin resistance and too much sugar in the bloodstream. Making sense so far? Okay. I hope it is. I hope it all makes sense so far. So now we know that this thing called non-alcoholic fatty liver disease or liver issues are related to insulin resistance predominantly. Like we can never say 100% of anything is caused by one thing. That's just not reality. But the predominant issue with non-alcoholic fatty liver is insulin resistance, and just keep in mind that it's causing 25% of deaths worldwide. Now, if you don't want to be that person who's sick and lacking energy and not getting nutrients and having all of these other problems that go along with non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, pay attention and get your insulin resistance under control. So I got mine under control by understanding, and at first I didn't understand. I just found some products that said they were going to help me and they're real food, and I did that when everything else wasn't working, and it worked, and I'm like, whoa. Why did this happen? How is this happening? How come all these doctors throwing medications at me, running me through tests, MRIs and CAT scans and all of the stuff that they ran me through, couldn't figure out my health issues? And yet the moment I started addressing insulin resistance one by one, my health issues started falling and I started not suffering with them. Why can't we just have this conversation in a medical office and the doctor say to you, hey, our food is horrible and it's causing you to be sick. All of these symptoms you're having, let's clear away this one big cause and then see what can happen from there. That's what we should be doing, but we're not. Instead, we're like this piece and this piece and this piece, and let's throw a drug at each one of those pieces. So I don't know why it blocks some of the comments, but I'm sorry. So I'm going to try and catch those. Your mother passed away from cancer of the liver, did not drink, was diabetic. YGP? Exactly. So it used to be that non-alcoholic fatty liver disease or fatty liver disease was only found in alcoholics because alcohol was the big driver causing all of this disruption in the liver. So why did we go from a society where very few people, only alcoholics really dealt with this, to now just everyday normal people are having something that alcoholics used to be the only ones to have? It's the amount of sugars in our food. Everything we buy, everything we eat is loaded with sugar. If you look at the labels, one of the top ingredients in almost every packaged food you buy is sugar. Our body cannot deal with this much sugar. It's not just about calories. Yeah, if you're eating more calories than you're expending, you're probably going to gain weight, right? If you're eating the wrong kind of calories, you're going to gain weight. So if you're having too much sugar and the body is struggling knowing what to do with it, you're going to gain weight. Okay. When we go through this whole insulin resistance thing and all of these cells in the body, including we're talking specifically about the liver today, cannot process the insulin anymore to get the sugar into the cells or the glucose into the cells, insulin then starts taking it to our storage system or our fat cells. Now, here's an interesting thing, and I want everyone who's listening and even my own clients to listen to this piece, okay? A lot of times, and this, I just learned this. So this is crazy to me because it happened to me too. But if you start something like the system I'm doing and start working on your insulin resistance, and you're like, but I'm not losing weight. I feel better. A number of things are better. My labs are better, but I'm not losing weight. One of the things that's happening is your liver is so impacted with fat that it needs to get rid of for you to be healthy. This fat out here on our body isn't going to impact the rest of your health as much as a liver that's impacted with fat. So, as you start to cut back on sugars, as you start to get fiber into your system, as you start to do intermittent fasting, as you start to eat and live in this whole way that we should have been doing all along and pay attention to the sugars that you're getting in, your liver starts breaking down the fat that's in it because it needs to. Remember, 25% of deaths are caused from liver diseases. So your body goes, oh, this is what we're doing. We need to get rid of fat. We need to burn fat for fuel instead of sugar. And this liver and gallbladder are struggling, and we're going to have problems if this doesn't get fixed. So now the fat is coming out of your liver. If you're not seeing weight loss initially, yeah, Marilyn, I'll send that back. So when this happens, now your liver is losing fat. You're losing fat, but you're losing it from your liver, maybe not from the excess areas around you. So it may take a while for you to see weight loss on the scale. It may take a while for you to see inch loss because your liver is emptying out the fat that it has that's causing it to be toxic and inflamed and shutting down. And that's important. And we want that. So, everybody, when you're doing a weight loss program and you're not getting weight loss right away, especially when you're doing something like fiber first, prioritize protein, fill up with healthy fats, and limit those carbs, you've got to understand this is one indicator that your liver was suffering far more than you thought it was, and it's trying to clean up. Let it have time to clean up. It could be 6 weeks, it could be 3 months. Who knows? Unless you have a scan or something by your doctor to tell what's going on in your liver, you're not going to know that. And AST and ALT in your liver panels can fluctuate wildly from panel to panel and even throughout the day. Although they're able to tell you what's going on in your liver at the moment, it's maybe not the best indication of non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. So, you guys ready for some ways to tell that you might be starting to have fatty liver? Or do you want me to, let's see, which way do I want to do this first? Let's talk about, yeah, I want to talk about those. Because when you do this, when you understand these, there's like 12 of them I have written down here. When you understand this, you're going to understand maybe some of the issues that are happening in the body and why this is so important. But the first thing I want to talk about, and I'm going to come back to this again, I'm going to keep coming back to this, is fruit. There's so many people that say fruit is healthy for you, and it is when we have it in small amounts. Fruit is not supposed to be the main thing in our diet. We are not orangutans, okay? We are not built to process that much fructose, nor do our foods, even our raw organic foods that you get in the grocery aisles, in the produce aisles, are they have enough fiber in them to deal with the fructose that we're ingesting now. Fructose has to be um, dealt with in the liver, and it is one of the leading causes of this triglyceride problem and the fat that's getting stored in the liver. The biggest causer of that is fructose. So yes, have berries, have a pear, have whatever once in a while at the end of your meal as a dessert, but it shouldn't be your meal. Like when I go through the airports and I see parents giving their kids a fruit bowl for a meal, I'm like, "Oh my gosh." Like, I just wanna go scoop that kid up and tell the parents, "Do you know what you're doing to your child? You think you're being healthy, and I get it, but you're putting your child at risk for non-alcoholic fatty liver disease by giving them too much fruit." Now, I know this because my own granddaughter, when I went to, your doctor is scheduling your ultrasound, so some of this today is gonna really help you, Marilyn, and, just being able to start to control it. The thing is there is not. Let me slow down because my head gets going crazy. I love big pharma for the things that they've given us that are truly life saving, that have, like antibiotics and some of those things. But some of the drugs that we're being given are not necessary, especially because it's dietary related. We don't need a drug to fix the fact that our diet is crap. Okay. We just don't need a drug for that. What we need is to start fixing our nutrients in our diet, and that's going to help us be better with our health. So I hope that everything goes well. We're gonna dive in now. So excess sugar is causing your fatty liver. Excess fructose is causing your fatty liver. But there's a number of other things that we don't think about. Of course, we know alcohol is helping cause fatty liver. But some of the things that I talk about also linked to fatty liver that are linked to insulin resistance, those industrial seed oils. So I wrote down some of the seed oils that Dr. Ken Berry. Did I write those down? I thought I did. So yes, so some of the industrial seed oils that are causing us to be sick, the one and so he defined them as this: canola, soybean, peanut, safflower, sunflower. Those oils, those seed oils, are actually contributing to non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. If you're worried about your liver, cut your sugar back and make it a treat for your fruit. I mean, sorry, cut the sugar back and make sure that you're not getting those seed oils in. Stay away from alcohol. You know that alcohol is causing this as well. So even if you're not an alcoholic, even if insulin resistance is what created this problem in the liver, you have to understand that alcohol is causing undue stress, and you've got to avoid it if you have non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. Yeah. Maryland doesn't want pharmaceutical drugs, and I would agree with that. Exactly that, Jessica. Because she said cut sugar, cut fructose, alcohol, industrial seed oils, canola, soybean, peanuts, safflower, sunflower. Exactly that. There are some other things though that can cause our liver to have failure, and I just want you to be aware of those. And it's not something that we're going to address today, but just so you know, things like environmental toxins are causing it, and too much iron in your, so like where I'm iron deficient and anemic, somebody who's getting in too much elemental iron, that's causing problems with the liver as well. And then there are the viruses that would cause a problem in the liver. But today we're going to talk about this piece with the sugars, the fructose, the sucrose, the glucose, and the fats that we eat, because that's all linked to insulin resistance. So we need to know that we've got to make sure those are under control. They lie to us all the time. Many studies show fructose in fruits is not a problem. So, I'm going to give you some credit on that, right? So if we look back in history, we used to eat fruits all the time and it wasn't a problem. Really, why we're having such a problem with fruits, one of the reasons, and I think you're primarily correct in this, right? So you should not be having high amounts of fruit if you're diabetic. You should not be having high amounts of fruit if you're diabetic. One of the reasons that fruit's impacting our liver so much is all the added sugar we have. So now we're overloading the liver with all this excess sugar in everything that we eat, in anything that we have that's packaged. And then you add a fruit in on that, on top of that, thinking that you're being healthy. Your liver's already trying to process all the sugar that came through, and now you add fructose that can only be um, digested by your liver, and it's causing a bigger problem. So if you're not having all the other glucose or sucrose and all the other sugars, is fruit as damaging? No. But in today's world, where we're getting all of this sugar in our breads and our pastas, in any packaged food we have at all, whether it's bread, pasta, grain related or not, we're still having a problem with sugar. Also, and I got to see this. This is interesting, Janet. I'm going to read this because, and I don't know, you guys. This is a comment from one of my followers, and so I have not been able to check this. But I'm going to read her comment because I think it's important, and I want your voices to be heard in this, right? So Janet over on Facebook says, "Be aware that global warming is creating more CO2 in the atmosphere. The CO2 is making a difference to the sugar content in plants." That's interesting, and I want to do some checking because I haven't heard that, Janet. Thank you. They have a higher sugar content because of the CO2 in the atmosphere. This has been researched extensively in the US using baseline data from growing a control group of plants in a specifically adapted environment with sown seeds taken from herbariums in the US dating from the 1949s and 50s against identical plants from modern seeds grown in the current environment. Apart from the amount of fast food modern kids deal with, everything is so overproduction and full of preservatives and coloring, etc. I agree with most all of that. We are so lazy. We do not eat enough fruit, greens, vegetables. Look, you can get fructose from some of your vegetables too. So where you want to get sugars and carbohydrates from are your vegetables first. If that's where you're getting carbohydrates from, dark green leafy vegetables first. Save the fruits again as a treat. So we do not eat enough fruit, greens, vegetables. There's an over-reliance on animal products. Now, I don't agree with that. I agree. I think that some blood types need to have more vegetarian type diet. Some blood types need more carnivore blood type. There are a number of people who are surviving and thriving on a carnivore diet without all the fruits and vegetables. So that's up to today. You guys, if you're vegetarian and that's where you lean and that's where you want to be, that's fine for you. Learn to live with the simple principles with that. If you're carnivoreistic like me, I'm not full carnivore because I still have fruits and vegetables, but primarily I eat meat. I would say that that's untrue. So a lot of people have been with carnivore or upping the meat in their diet are starting to find that their diabetes is coming down and a number of these other issues are coming down. So one of the reasons, let me finish her statement first. I got off on a tangent because this was a long statement. Bread is also your liver's worst enemy. Agree with that. Stay with olive oil. Steer clear of milk and lactose products, including fresh and soft cheeses. Some hard cheeses are good for you as they have sat for more than a year. So the part about cheeses I'll need to look at. The part about breads. So look, let's go into that. Breads and grains in general or starchy vegetables. What they are just longer chains of glucose. Okay. So they're just bigger, longer, badder chains of this glucose that's giving you sugar in your bloodstream. So yes, probably one of the best ways. And I am not good because I'm not good. That's not the right connotation. I don't want to put that on myself. I don't do as well as I should because I still enjoy breads. I don't eat them a lot. I try to manage having them so they become like less than probably a quarter of my diet, if even that high. I would fair to guess that breads are far less than that in my diet. I still have them. Though I think that I should probably stop having breads altogether, but I'm not there yet. Okay. So I want you guys to know you can start where you're at too. Please don't feel like you have to go, cut your left leg off and live a whole different life to get better. Okay. Let's just not do that. So there's some things that we need to do. And there was a lot of great information in there, Janet. I'm going to come back to your comment. I'm going to look some things up. You brought some things up that I think are amazing. And thank you for the comment. So Any kind of bread, YGP, any kind of grain is primarily starches, which are just long chains of glucose. So anything that's made from a grain, whether it's highly refined white bread or whether it's your ancient grain, what did Dr. Camberry say, $40 a loaf bread? Those are still converting into sugars in your system more rapidly than the dark leafy green vegetables and even things like berries and pears. Okay, there are some fruits that are high in the glycemic scale, like pineapple and bananas. Those you shouldn't be having as much, right? Should we have them? Yes. Should we have them at every meal? Probably not. Should we have them every day in high amounts? Probably not. Okay. So yes, bread is horrible. So we're going to go over um so to avoid is sugar, highly sweetened drinks like soft drinks and even fruit juices. We're going to talk about those more later. Grains and industrial seed oils are the things you're going to need to avoid if you're worried about getting your liver healthy and giving it the best chance it has. Now, if you don't have non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, if your liver is not struggling, these things may not be as important. I'm talking to people who are having a struggling liver. If you want your liver to get healthy, you're going to have to take a little bit more action, and that means cutting sugars, cutting starches from the grains, cutting the seed oils, apples. I'm not sure where apples are on the glycemic scale. Apples do tend to have more fiber in them, but they also have a higher fructose content. I would I would have apples. I just wouldn't have them all the time. What we're talking about are having stuff all the time. So that the apples are low glycemic because of the amount of fiber in them. So again, I don't, if you want to have an apple a day, do that, but don't have a bushel of apples a day and then have all the packaged foods and stuff as well, because now you're adding sugar on sugar on sugar. You're adding healthy sugar on other sugar, and that's just causing a problem. So your dietitian allows some grains. I'm going to say something really controversial, and please, dietitians, don't be upset with me. We all understand. So a number of dietitians that I've talked to, I still have paint in my hair. Oh my gosh, you guys, I just didn't get it all out. The advice that they've been giving is now showing to be not wholly healthy for us, especially when we look at the food guidelines, the dietary guidelines from 1977, and they're still being taught information from those. Now, there's some progressive dietitians who are understanding the stuff I'm talking about, and they're making the switch, and that's great. So just like with a physician, with anything else, you need to know that your dietitian is giving you good advice and based on current science, not observations from, what is it, 50 years ago now? 50 years ago is where most of their information is coming from. Some of it is more normal. So Janet says, I agree with a lot of what you're saying. I'm just coming from two different areas that has steered you in your dietary direction. You have an environmental degree. Amazing. So I would love to have a conversation with you sometime. I've been looking into food safety moving forward. You have green diagnosed. Hey, you have been, I think it's supposed to be diagnosed with non-alcoholic fatty liver S, and that is a different type of liver disease. Had infected gallbladder out early last year. So we'll talk about a gallbladder on another day, but that's devastating to me that you've had your gallbladder out. I would love for you to keep in contact with me and let me know how you fare with your gallbladder out. Like, look, you guys all know. You guys have seen me. Those of you who've been following me for a long time know that I lost 55 pounds. It was getting pretty slim, and I started putting a little bit of weight on. That weight came on after my gallbladder came out, and I started doing some research, and the gallbladder starts having no gallbladder starts affecting your energy centers, including your thyroid function. And so it's very common, especially in women my age who've had a gallbladder out, to have problems with weight. Even though the rest of my health is looking good, my weight problems are there because of this action of energy that goes through the body when the gallbladder is missing. So yes, I take dietary enzymes every day. I take ox bile every day. I do what I can to help, and that is helping with those. But I would love to hear your syndrome, non-alcoholic fatty liver syndrome. Thank you. So the gallbladder, I just would love to keep in touch and see how you fare and how you feel after having your gallbladder out. I always tell people, in my opinion, this is my opinion, if you can avoid having that gallbladder out, if you can do anything to keep your gallbladder, it's a tiny little organ, but it does so much, keep it. If you can, keep it. If it's putting your life at risk because it's so full of stones that it's just never going to get cleared up and it's all infected and it's causing, you know, other body-wide infections, then yeah, you're going to have to remove it and deal with the repercussions. But how about we talk about how not to get there? Okay. Um, so where are these new messages? Have the conversation. Dr. Furman's Eat to Live. Yeah, we need to. And one of the things I talk about, you guys, a lot, we're going to get back to the liver. The liver regenerates. Absolutely, when we give it the right environment and stop drenching it in sugar and seed oils, the liver will heal up and reverse and start to look more like a normal, healthy liver. But we have to take steps to get there. We went through a lot of steps to make our liver unhealthy. Now we've got to take steps to get a healthy liver. YGP has no gallbladder and has issues with certain foods. Yeah, the doctor told me I didn't really need it either, and I didn't realize until about a year after it had come out, when I was like getting close to my ideal weight, and all of a sudden weight started creeping in. Hadn't changed my activity level, hadn't changed the food I was eating, hadn't changed anything, but weight's creeping in. I'm starting to have gastritis. I'm starting to have a lot of problems, and yeah, there are foods you just can't eat. So we'll have that conversation maybe a little bit later, and I'll try to do. I had started to write a book on it because it's been such a big ordeal. This last year has been me paying attention to my heart and my gallbladder. By the way, having the gallbladder out can cause further strain on your heart. So if your gallbladder's already been removed, the best you can do, in my opinion, is um, so I did oregano and black seed and wasn't getting better. Now, can it help? Yes. Is it going to fix it? I don't know. I didn't have time. I did it for a long time and it just wasn't working in the way I needed it to. So yes, it's been awful to have your gallbladder out. So let's talk about that real quick, and then I want to talk about the signs and symptoms of non-alcoholic fatty liver disease before you ever get diagnosed by your physician. Let's do that. So when your liver is sick and it's passing this really thick bile into the gallbladder, when it sits in the gallbladder, because the gallbladder is really a storage container that's holding that bile, your liver is continually making bile throughout the day. Your gallbladder stores it. Then when you do eat, now the gallbladder goes, oh, hey, I have this stuff that's going to help break down those fats that you're eating. So we're going to excrete that through the bile duct. That's going to start breaking down those fats, and you're going to get the nutrients out of them. You're going to have normal function from your food in your life. With no gallbladder, you have no storage unit. Now, when you eat those high fatty foods, there's not this storage of bile to break down those foods. That's why ox bile, take it before you eat. It's going to help bump up the bile in your system that your liver cannot produce enough of. And it's going to help you digest those much better. So let's think about that too. Once you've had your gallbladder removed, now it's putting an even bigger load on an already sick liver. So now we really have to pay attention. So non-alcoholic fatty liver, you've had your gallbladder removed. Now, I don't know about you. So they're talking about removing your gallbladder. Two of you have had your gallbladders removed. So some of the things that I've noticed since my gallbladder has been removed is a couple of the things I'm talking about. When I eat sugar, say I have a day when I want to go like have a cupcake with my granddaughter or whatever, or my daughter-in-law. I will notice that within an hour, with less than an hour, that sugar just shoots right through me. The liver is having a hard time. I'm not digesting as much of that, and I have more gastrointestinal problems. When I get a hold of something that's been cooked in seed oils, not only do I have this high urgency, diarrhea and whatnot, but I get like an extended bloated gut that just feels like somebody put a whole air balloon inside my gut and it doesn't go away for hours. Um, right. Okay, Rachel, that's an amazing, amazing comment that I absolutely agree with. Um, There are ways to soften stools before it's too late. Stone breaker drops have really helped me. I also use aloe vera sometimes at night, but I don't have those problems now. I've made enough changes. I don't really have a problem with hard stools. You have RA, Sjogren's syndrome, diverticulitis, no gallbladder, and PCOS. Whew, I'm going to take a picture of that because I'm not going to remember all of that, nor do I want to write it all down, but I want to address some of that for you. Okay, so sick equals parasites, bacteria, and I'm reading comments for you guys over there, microbes, worms, etc. Um, and I agree with some of that. So I have some friends who are like, "Oh, everything is a parasite. You're having a parasite." Yes and no. What I do agree with is that yes, so I agree with it enough that I do a parasitic cleanse twice a year to help my body stay clean as much as I can. And in the in between time, I try to regulate the other stuff that I'm getting, but I do a cleanse twice a year. We have a great one. I'm not here to sell that, but that's what I do to help my body. I also understand that the gut bacteria the gut bacteria we have is out of whack. So parasites and this negative gut bacteria actually are what's craving sugar. Your body craves energy. Your body needs energy. Your body can get energy and it can get glucose out of protein. So when you're hungry, are you really hungry for sugar? Are you really hungry for energy? But if you're overridden with parasites, yes, and negative gut bacteria, you're going to be craving sugar because guess what? That's what they feed off of. So they're like, woo, I'm here, I'm loud, I'm proud, and I want to thrive. So feed me some sugar. If you're having sugar cravings, I think Rachel is on to something, and that's very likely that I'm for me more of a gut microbiome. Stop all white foods, flours, pastas, breads. I agree with that as well. Although most of us are not equipped to do that yet, right? You guys, here's the thing. Here, I want you healthy. I want you happy. I want you doing something that's sustainable for your life. Now, no white foods, no flours, pastas, breads is sustainable, but it may not be for you today, right? It may not be sustainable for you today because there's so many changes. Look, our willpower only lasts so long, and if we're making too many changes at once, we're going to fail. If it saves your life, you can do it. I agree. But most people don't see the internal workings. They don't see the fatty liver clearing up. They don't see those things. And so at some point they're like, I'm just going to go ahead and have that bread. I'm going to have whatever. So I'm an advocate of taking the biggest steps that are going to make the biggest changes first and working into the steps that you can deal with to get your health back. I mean, if you are that David Goggins kind of person who's just going to be like, I'm diving in, I'm doing this, and I'm never going back, amazing. But more than 95% of us do not have that type of personality. And we need to be able to make sustainable changes that are going to affect our life long term. And that's what I'm talking about. I'm not vegetarian, so I'm not a good one to have a conversation with those. Not that I have anything particularly against it. It just doesn't work with my body type. So I just don't do it. So it's not my, we all have our wheelhouse, and vegetarianism is not my wheelhouse. Okay. So let's talk about Raji says you did it. I'm assuming the no bread for 4 months. It helped, but it's not a sustainable diet. You lost nutrients. The truth is, when your liver is struggling, you're not getting nutrient absorption either. When your cells are struggling, you're not getting nutrient absorption. So cutting some of these things out is great. But one of the biggest things that I talk about all the time, and I'm going to continue to talk about, is nutrients. When I talk about fasting, when I talk about all these things, I am not talking about cutting calories. I'm talking about allowing your body to flex metabolically. We can go into that later. But I'm talking about when I do eat. When I do eat in that 8-hour window, when I do eat those 2 meals, what I'm doing is focusing on nutrients. And nutrients to me don't include sugar, and they don't include those grains and stuff. Those are an additive that makes things maybe taste better, but it's not a nutrient that my body needs. You can get all the nutrients that you're getting in grains from other foods without all the damaging side effects. If you're not there where you can cut breads out completely, cut them down. Every once in a while, have your sandwich, your hamburger without a piece of bread on it. You don't have to have a roll at dinner with your steak and your vegetables. You don't have to do that. You don't have to have the bread and grain at every single meal. You just don't need it. So maybe start there and cutting it back. And eventually you'll see that, like, I still have bread from time to time, but in my basic meals, there's really not bread included. So I'm working my way there, and that's what I think I want for everyone, is to be able to work your way there and get there um, based on your health, your lifestyle, in a way that matters and makes it sustainable for you. Too big of changes too quickly are not sustainable for most people. So can you manage the cravings for sugars? Yeah, your body needs minerals. Absolutely, your body needs minerals. But you can get minerals from protein, from your animal sources. You can get minerals from that. Parasites will make you sleepwalk and eat sugar if you're asleep. This is about insulin resistance. And today we're talking about how insulin resistance is affecting your liver. Insulin resistance is linked to all of these things up above. And so today we're dealing specifically with the liver. Now I'm going to get back to it. So the things you want to cut out again are the high amounts of sugar. Stop eating all the packaged foods. Stop eating so much fructose. Get rid of the fruit juices. Fruit juices, what you're getting 5 to 6 oranges in a glass of orange juice. So yes, you're getting in nutrients, but you're also getting in a whole lot. Can you imagine sitting and eating 6 oranges with your eggs and bacon for breakfast? Okay. So that's what's happening when you're drinking fruit juice, is you're getting way more of the sugar, the fructose, than you need. Plus it's unwrapped, excuse me, from the fiber that's protecting you from the sugar in the first place. So no fruit juice. And then you want to stay away from wheat and corn and grains, right? So Dr. Berry defined it as wheat, corn, oats, rice. They're all full of carbs. Okay. Feeling so sick, Nina. And you know what? I talk to people all day, every day, to try and help them understand some of this. So if you need to talk to me, just go to my link and find my WhatsApp there and text me. And I'm more than happy to have a conversation with you to help understand. If you just joined and you're not familiar with me, then let's just have a conversation and see what we can do to help you out. I do it all the time, and I actually love doing that. So the last thing is seed oil. So sugar, soft drinks, fruit juices, grains, and seed oils. We've got to get those cut from the diet if they can, reduced in the diet if that's the best you can do. Yeah, Nina, I was the same way. She says she's been begging her doctor for assistance for years, and that was me. And I wasn't getting better. I was getting sicker, and I was gaining more weight. And I just felt like I had a walker, a cane. I couldn't walk up and down stairs. I couldn't get up and down off the floor. I could barely get in and out of bed. I was in so much pain. I didn't want to move from my couch because it hurt. And nobody was helping. And then I found this protocol that I'm going to talk about, and I started learning about insulin resistance, and then I understood. And it was sad to me that so many doctors, specialists, and doctor after doctor after doctor, and traveling around and trying to find somebody who could understand and get my heart rate under control, my blood pressure under control, my joints to stop failing, all of this stuff. And it all came down to diet and what's missing in our diet today that's causing us to be so sick. So we're going to go over that in just a little bit. Hang out. We're going to go over it. Now, we're going to get to these symptoms, signs and symptoms, and then we're going to start talking about what I did to get better. Now, there's no way I'm going to remember all 12 of these signs and symptoms. So here we go. And I can't even I can't even read my own writing. I was writing so quick when I was making notes. Anyway, pale stools. If your stools are pale and they're not like a dark hearty color, like if your stools are black and chalky, you're probably having some bleeding problems in your intestines, right? If your stools are light colored, like really pale, that kind of like I would call it baby poop kind of color, that's an indicator that your liver is struggling and that it's not getting enough bile pushed through the gallbladder and into the bile duct for you to break down fats properly. More of your fats are ending up in your stool, and so they're a light color. Not only are they light, but they're probably floaters. If your poop, we're going to talk about poop for a second because we're talking about the liver. If your stool is light colored, whether it's loose or firm, whether your stool is light colored and it floats, you're full of fat and your liver's having a problem digesting it. What about both light and dark at the same time? I need to know what dark means. If it's super dark in patches and has light in for the majority, I'm going to say from my understanding, I'm not diagnosing anyone. I want to be really careful about that. For me, where my mind goes is that you have way too much fats in your stool, but at the same time, there's been enough damage that there's something tearing down. And when was the last time you had a colonoscopy? Yeah, it sinks to the bottom of the bowl. So not as much fat, but maybe your liver is not able to produce the bile that it needs. And so you have enough in there that it's sinking, but also enough fat that it has light patches. Never had a colonoscopy. So the colonoscopy can be able to go in and tell what's going on in your intestines. We know this, right? So if there's anything major going on, and if you're having a combination of stool like that, and I don't know your age, but it's maybe worth having your colon looked at to understand, because we're not talking about colon right now, but we are talking about some symptoms of fatty liver. So the dark and the light together, I'd need to do some looking, but my mind would go to the fact that there's a couple of things going on for you. Okay. So the second symptom that you might have is the floaters, right? But what about night vision? If you had a cholecystectomy and you're 54, so you're definitely having a problem with digesting fats because you have no gallbladder to hold on to bile that allows you to digest it when you eat fats. So more fats are passing directly through you. That's what's happening. Your gallbladder being removed is part of that problem. If your gallbladder's been removed, you're already having a problem with your liver. Understand that. Let's start taking care of your liver now that we can't do the gallbladder. By the way, I'm in the same boat. Okay, 60 years old, had a cholecystectomy 3 years ago. My whole health changed. Okay, and maybe not in the best way, but now I'm dealing with that. So hopefully we can work together and figure this out for all of us. Okay, so pale stools, poor night vision. So what happens with this is you're having a vitamin A deficiency. We all know that a vitamin A deficiency can really mess with your night vision. But how is that related to your liver? Okay. What's relating to that is the bile that we should be having, and now this is going to be more important for you without a gallbladder. Those of you, not just you, Nina, because a couple of people have mentioned having no gallbladder. The bile helps with the absorption of A. So now you're deficient in A because you don't have enough bile because your liver was sick and your gallbladder got removed, and that's affecting your vision. So if you're starting to have, and this can happen without, I'm talking to the people who've had their gallbladder removed, but even if you haven't had your gallbladder removed, your liver is struggling producing bile that's usable, and it's making you be less efficient at absorbing the nutrient vitamin A. And that's where your night vision problems. It's harder to see at night. You just can't, like I used to be able to read even with the lights off. And that's not the case anymore. So that night vision reduction is a vitamin A deficiency oftentimes, which is linked to the liver not being able to produce bile in the way that it's supposed to and help you absorb that vitamin A. So a cleanse, I know I saw that I just do a parasitic cleanse twice a year because I want my intestines cleaned out. Now, better than a cleanse is going to be what we just said. Get rid of sugars, fructose, high sugar drinks, seed oils. Those are going to help cleanse your liver along with a fast more than any product you can do. I do the parasitic cleanse just because I want the extra help. Is it necessary? No. For some people, maybe. Okay. Um, yep. And so Susie Q said when she had her gallbladder removed, that's when she noticed she had difficulty controlling weight. I want every woman in here to know that if you've had your gallbladder removed, because that's what your doctor told you, and you're struggling with your weight, you're not alone. You're not alone. It's messing with how your thyroid functions. It's messing with even how your estrogen functions, and your ability to put weight on is even greater than before. So now with no gallbladder, you have to really take even more steps. Do I get sick when doing a parasitic cleanse? No. No. And not to be gross, we've been talking about poop anyway. When I do a parasitic cleanse, the first time I did it, I saw a lot of parasites come out of me. I worked in medical for a long time. I worked in nursing homes. I worked, taking care of this kind of stuff all the time. I had to look at poop a lot. It's normal for me to look at poop as for people's health. So I looked in my toilet when I do a cleanse, especially the first time. I'm like, it can't be that bad. And yes, I saw parasites. I saw worms, I saw whatever coming out of me. Now I do it twice a year as a preventative measure. I don't see that as much now. I don't see the movement of my poop in the toilet bowl, which freaked me out the first time, but you may see that if you've never done a cleanse before, as you're pulling some of these out of your body. The parasitic cleanse is to just help keep those negative bacteria and parasites out of my gut, so that the good bacteria can build and be healthy and stop inflammation and a number of other things going on in the body. Okay. But back to the liver. Okay. We're going to get back to the liver. So the one that I do is by the same company. It's called Cleanse with Aloe. So Patty M, 40 years with no gallbladder. I can't imagine. I can't imagine. But the parasitic cleanse I use is a 3-step cleanse. It has some herbal tablets that are helping kill off the parasites and getting them to dislodge and be ready to move through. Then there's a whole other fiber product that has a lot of herbals in it that are helping clean the parasites and the bacteria out as it's removed. So I do a couple of tablets in the morning, and then about an hour or two later, I have this very specific fiber. And then before I go to bed, I have aloe to help just keep that stuff moving out. Don't be fooled. If you're removing parasites and bacteria and you just leave it there, it's just going to go back into the number of it's just going to go back into your walls of your intestines. You need to clear it out. Okay, that's why I love this cleanse. So are there parasites in our liver? That's, to be honest, I've never thought about that or asked that question. So I'm going to have to look that up. It would make sense to me that there are, but I can't tell you that because I've not looked that up anywhere. Okay, parasites. I mean, it makes sense, but yeah, but I can't give you an intelligible conversation on that because I'm not versed on it. Yes. Okay. Margot, yes. Liver flukes, yes. Okay. So, a third symptom is going to be swelling, specifically in your right foot. Maybe you have edema, maybe you have neuropathy, those are all clues you're having problems anyway. But if your right foot is swelling, and it's swelling at a rate more than your left foot, understand your liver sits on your right side. Okay. If your liver is swollen, inflamed, and having problems, it's putting pressure on the it's putting pressure on a vein that's causing inflammation and swelling and water to retain in your right foot. So if you press on your right foot and you push in, and that indentation from your finger stays for more than just a couple of seconds, or it doesn't rebound quickly, like that pressure mark has already gone away from my arm. Okay, see how that goes away? That's what it should look like. If you press down and that white spot stays, you're having inflammation problems. And if it's on the right side, that means your liver is struggling, putting pressure on this vein, causing you to have swelling in your right leg. Right leg swelling is an indication of liver problems. So that's number 3, right? So pale stools, poor night vision, and swelling in the right leg. Some of these are weird and I've never heard them before. So this is amazing information for me too. Now, if you have white eyelids, you're getting those little white spots, and I was getting them on your eyelids. Here you are pressing on your foot. You know what? Yeah. Like sometimes I'm like pressing on my arms, my legs might be like, am I swelling? Am I swelling? Is this bad? So there's a difference like when you're heat and you're retaining water and whatnot as to when it's chronic, right? So yeah, I use the press test a lot. You guys can use that. But all right, so those white spots on your eyelids. Remember when I talked about your liver producing triglycerides? And it's overproducing triglycerides when you're insulin resistant? Well, that overproduction means that they're also producing improperly, and you end up with these little fatty pockets, not just on your eyelids, but around your body, but especially on your eyelids. If you're getting these little white, hard pockets on your eyelids, those are triglycerides that are being caused because your liver is not functioning properly. Weird sign, right? So if you're having pressure and discomfort on the right side, again, remember that your liver is over here on the right side. So if it's swollen, if it's having problems, you're going to feel pressure and swelling on that right side. Now, especially with the gallbladder removed, you may have some pressure, pain. It's especially for me, it ends up under my sternum because I have a really acidic gut, but it radiates to the right side when I get a hold of the wrong foods. That's a liver issue, okay? You itch like crazy all over. That's one of the other symptoms we're going to talk about right now. So we're going to get there real quick. Purple or red spots across your skin, that's a vascular problem, or that you bruise easily, that can be related back to your liver not working properly also. Those signs, if you're having these little purpley spots all over your skin, that can be a sign that your liver's not functioning properly. Again, most of this is related to insulin resistance. This is why we're talking about it, because all of these signs and symptoms are telling you, let's take care of your liver. Let's address your insulin resistance is how you take care of your liver. So cracked heels. With cracked heels, this whole nutrient deficiency thing, the liver not working properly, not having enough bile, you're also probably deficient in vitamin B3, and it's causing these cracked and scaly heels. So I used to, and you know, it's crazy learning some of these because as a diabetic, when I was a full-blown diabetic, I had I used that heel tastic. I used all kinds of stuff to try and get my heels to stop cracking. I even had a orbital sander where I would sand my heels to try and get them smooth again. Nobody ever talked about this stuff, right? But it's coming from your liver. So take care of your liver. That even is something that can show you you're having liver problems. Now, so this comes to the itchy part. If you're having uh, itchy palms and itchy feet, and then if it's getting to be all over your body, your liver is really suffering. Okay, good morning, Jim. Good morning. So another one of the signs that your liver could be struggling is like if your fingernails are clubbed, they're wider at the top than they are at the bottom. That's a sign that your liver is struggling. Again, a sign we need to take care of insulin resistance. Clubbed nails is a sign. I can maybe do a video later and I'll just go through them really rapidly and list all of these signs and symptoms. I probably won't have time in a 1-minute video to explain why, but I can list all of these if anybody wants to know and have a video to come back to. So yellowing skin. So with jaundice, again, you're having this bile backup, no gallbladder, your liver just isn't functioning properly. Now you're holding on to nutrients that are turning your skin yellow and you're being jaundiced. A lot of times they say go in the sunlight, right? That helps with vitamin D and that helps reverse some of the jaundice. But jaundice is definitely a liver issue. So if your skin is starting to look yellow, if the whites of your eyes are starting to look yellow, you need to get your liver checked. And you need to start paying attention to and loving your liver and getting that reversed. And remember, it will reverse. If you take care of it, if you pay attention to it, if you're kind to your liver, it will reverse, unless it's just already like so dead that you're looking at a liver replacement or something. Okay. So spider veins, and this is another one that I didn't know. Again, the liver is messing with your vascularity. Remember that. The end of your fingernails grow downward is generally, and I only know this because I was going through this, is generally a one sign of anemia. I would look for other signs of anemia as well, but that's one sign that you could be anemic, and that's low iron. So that's and it's more of a deficiency, but oftentimes a low iron. The spider veins are a vascular problem. So you might have these little red purple spots I talked about, and these little like spider-like legs around them, or just the spider-like legs. It's a vascular issue linking back to your liver not functioning properly. Okay. Yeah, people, it destroys your liver. It destroys it. Those moments of good feeling are really not worth long term the effects that it has on your liver. Now, if you're not getting in excess sugars, and you're not getting in all the excess fruit, and you're not eating a ton of breads and grains, and you're metabolically healthy otherwise, a little bit of alcohol probably isn't going to hurt. When we're overdoing, and especially in today's world where we're already having too much sugar, and we're already having too much breads and grains, and we're already sedentary, and we're already doing all these things, and then we add an occasional drink on top of it, whew, now that's damaging, right? Now that's damaging. So, and I would agree. Like I drink, just to be honest, I drink, but very, very, very rarely. The kids took me out for my birthday to an amazing little Mexican restaurant in town. I had one single drink, but the more that I learn, the more I'm leaning to be like Nick, that I may never pick up alcohol again. Okay. I want my liver around. I have a lot to do in life, and that means I've got to be healthy. And that starts with taking care of your liver. So that was 12 signs. Let's talk about a couple more signs. If you're tired, fatigued, that's a sign that your liver is not functioning properly. Your energy resources from your liver are not functioning in the way they're supposed to. Your liver's dumping too much sugar all the time, converting triglycerides too much into fat that's not breaking down easily into energy, and getting stored in places like your eyelids from alcoholic liver failure as we speak. That's sad. That's sad. And I will certainly send my prayers out to him. It's a devastating disorder. It's painful, it's long, it's drawn out. I wouldn't wish it on anyone. So take care of your liver now. Now, another symptom, the 14th symptom I'm going to give, is weight gain. Okay. If you're putting weight, if you're putting weight on, whether it's in the belly, around your body, whatever, you know that your liver is being overloaded because you're eating too much sugar, or you're eating too much, and it's giving you this weight gain. All of that, the liver is in the middle of what you're eating and where the weight is gaining, and it's doing the lion's share of the work, and it's tired. It's tired. Stop all the sugar, stop all the sugary drinks, stop eating so many grains and all of that, and your liver is going to be loving you for it. But you've got to make a change. You guys, I'm gonna now this, I know I don't like to be fear mongering, but I am also like to be very truthful. And I cannot remember your name. Sorry. But one of you guys said, if it means your life, you'll make the change. And I think, in my opinion, is that I just lost it because I read a comment. Daily medications, and do they? Yeah. Okay. So if you allergies, anyway, if you go to pdr.net and look up your medications, there should be some contraindications there. Oftentimes it will mention either the liver or the kidneys, as if you have an inflammation, a problem with one of those organs, you shouldn't be doing the drug. So if you're concerned about your liver, and you're concerned that your medications may be contributing to your liver failing, then Thank you, Dee. Then you need to check that supplement or medication. What about the itching? So it I I cannot remember the exact mechanism that is being caused for the itching in the skin, and I would love to go back and have time to look at the mechanisms of that. Okay. So and I normally drink a ton of water, but I'm having some drainage down my throat from allergies. And so that's more likely what's happening. Vertical lines on fingernails. Again, you guys can look some of those up. There are some deficiencies in clues, but one of them too is if you're getting your nails are turning predominantly white, that's a sign that you're having liver problems. Okay. So all of this can be stopped by addressing the sugar that we're eating and how it's hitting our liver. Okay, so the biggest way that I changed that, still live a life that's recognizable and am working towards something much healthier, is I added in this protocol. It's a tea that I have twice a day and a fiber mix. I actually drink the fiber before I eat anything because the fiber for me, when I eat anything, it's helping slow down the conversion of glucose and the delivery of glucose into my small intestine. And that slower delivery of sugar means I have less need for insulin. I have less insulin spikes. Now I'm starting to get my insulin levels low. And when my insulin levels are low, because I'm not inundating my system with sugar all the time, now my insulin resistance starts to reverse because the cells are like, oh, hey, insulin isn't bothering me so much. I can open up my door and let him in again as long as he's going to behave. So I'm trying to teach my insulin to behave, and that takes fiber to help regulate the sugars that I eat. The fiber encapsulates and slows down the sugar from hitting your small intestine too quickly. It also allows nutrients to pass through your small intestine in a way that you get more absorption from your nutrients than without it. So the tea is this yerba mate tea that I will put the link up for you guys over here and over there. But that's actually what's in my mug is the tea. So we'll talk about the tea now. You guys, I hope all of that information helped. I hope all of those symptoms helped. If you look at your body and you see a number of these symptoms, please get your liver checked. And in the meantime, start to understand, cut sugar, cut fructose, cut fruit juices, no more high sugar sodas. Okay. Get rid of the grains out of your diet as much as you can and start eating whole foods as much as possible and getting some rest too. Rest and hydration, I'm going to add to that. But do those things, that's going to start to happen for you. The fiber is called Balance, and it's part of the protocol I use. So it's 7 different types of fiber, soluble and unsoluble. And the reason this is important is because in scientific studies, like a normal fiber can reduce your blood sugar by 10 to 13%. This fiber, because it was scientifically designed for your metabolism and for this purpose, this fiber reduces a blood sugar spike with those white breads, pancakes, that stuff that are really high glycemic scale. We tested it with those. It brought the blood sugar spike of those down by 20% with one packet. Now, fiber does a lot more for me than regulate blood sugar. It's feeding my gut microbiome. Fiber, feeding your gut microbiome, and especially in a fasted state, it feeds them. They create these things called short chain fatty acids. That cues your body to create ketones. That cues your body to do some fat burning. Now, fiber's helping with all that. Fiber's feeding the good bacteria and cutting and allowing that good bacteria army to get a foothold in your gut again, where right now it's probably parasites and bad bacteria, right? So that's what this fiber is doing for me. It's so much more than blood sugar regulation. It's also helping with the regulation of how those fats are hitting your system. Now, I feel like I skipped over something. I want you guys to understand. I talked about something that's very important, and we think we skipped over it, is triglycerides. When I talked about your eyelids and those little white spots in the liver converting sugars into triglycerides, hear me. if your triglycerides are going up, you're probably suffering with your liver, and you definitely are leading into insulin resistance. So I have the cleanse on my website. I'll open it up today because we were talking about that. I try not to leave it on all the time because it gets confusing. Let me go in and make sure the link for the cleanse is on my link tree today so you can get to that, and it'll make it just much easier for you. You guys, any of these products, please don't just go to Amazon, eBay, Walmart to get them because they're not authorized. There's tons of pirated products. Please just save yourself the time. You'll pay more money for it when you go through that than when you just buy through somebody who's reputable like me. Now, how often do I go live? I go live Monday through Friday. Generally, it's about 8:30 a.m. Every once in a while, like last night, we had some family stuff happen, and my grandson ended up here for the night, so I was a little late getting on this morning. But I try to be here at 8:30 every morning, Monday through Friday. I don't go live on the weekends. That's family time, and I think it should be family time for all you guys too. Okay, so I'll get the cleanse opened up. Now, the protocol, though, that I'm doing, and I want to show you guys because it's time for me to have fiber. The truth is that I love Eastern time. Yes, Eastern time. This fiber has become so important in my life that I not only drink it before my meals, understanding in the more research I do on fiber and my gut and my liver and my kidneys and my heart and everything, I've been drinking this fiber every morning in a fasted state because it's helping those gut microbiome when there's not all the sugar present, because it's helping me with ketones, because it's helping, with all of this stuff that's great for my inflammation, my heart, all of that. So this is as simple as it is. This is the fiber packet, right? I just tore the top off. This is about as much water as I mix it in. This is a little more than I like, but we need the water for the fiber as well. So I'm just going to pour this in like that. Oh, there it is. And the crazy thing is, like when I travel next month to go back to the western half of the US for a while, I'll just be taking this in my carry-on. Some of it goes in my checked bag, and a number of it goes in my carry-on. I always carry extra in case something happens. That's as much as I shake it up now. It's kind of liquidy, right? It's thickening already. So I'm going to drink this. This one you have to drink down quickly. This is 7 different types of fiber, phytosterols. It has components in it that are helping with those triglycerides, heart healthy, plus a panel of vitamins and minerals that are great for your metabolism. And you want to drink it down pretty quick because it will thicken up. Next week, I'm going to do this thing where I mix up the Metamucil, which I never drink, and this. But you'll see how it's already coating the bottle. That's the magic of the 7 different fibers, okay? Does your body become reliant on the fiber? I don't know. Does your body become reliant on the food that you need to eat every day? Is it reliant on nutrients? Because this is a nutrient. Our bodies have always been reliant on fiber in the presence of glucose. We just haven't been addressing it. So if you're going to be having in sugars, then you need to be having in fiber because it's been stripped from our foods today, and that's why we're getting sick. Okay. The reason I'm drinking those fibers is because they're no longer present even in our apples, oranges, peaches, pears, pineapple, bananas, corn, which is a grain, peppers, all of that stuff are less dense in fiber than they ever were. And the fiber was put there by the creator to help us deal with the sugars. And we, in our wisdom, took it out. And now we're getting sick. That's the fiber. So I'm going to put the link over here. And on TikTok, you guys just go to my profile, tap on the link. That'll take you to my Linktree page, and you will find it there. So let's get the link over on Facebook and YouTube. You guys, so it's a tea, the system now, and I'm getting the links, but this tea, and I'm going to go over the tea too. I have a tea in the morning. This has actually 2 teas in it. So I'll be sipping on this throughout the day. By the end of the day, I'll have drank this whole thing. I'll tell you why I love the tea in a minute. And then a pre-meal drink before you have anything that's those fibers, vitamins, minerals, all of that. It costs about $5 a day for the entire program. So you'll get 60 of the tea in a month and 30 of the fiber. Um, if you're somebody like me, you can actually get an extra box of fiber, and it does increase the cost a little bit, but I like to have the fiber around because this is the staple for me. It just helps me with so much. So, it comes packaged as a system. You get all of it in for about that $5 a day. Through fiber a day, sometimes over fresh greens also for the K2. So, and that's great, but one of the things I caution people is 30 grams of fiber. By the way, I want to stop for a second. I want to stop and say that's amazing and I applaud you, because most of us are only getting in 10 to 16 grams of fiber a day. But I want to tell you this. I can't say your name, but you know who you are. 30 grams of fiber is a great measure, right? There were studies done specifically at 37 grams of fiber. It was when they saw the biggest change happen. So sometimes over, amazing. Aim for that 37 grams of fiber a day, and that will help tremendously. There were numbers of studies that showed that 16, that bump from about 16 grams of fiber, whereas most of us are, to 37, made major changes, not only in insulin resistance, but overall health. Okay. So this now, here's the thing though. This little packet has about 4 grams of fiber in it. So if I'm doing 3, that's giving me an additional 12 a day. Add that to my 16, I'm now at about 28. And, so I need to make sure that I'm getting in about 37 grams of fiber. But the big thing for me is this. When we talk about fiber, there are different fibers in different foods. Most of your fruits and vegetables are unsoluble fibers, so they're not soaking up water, and they create like a basket weave, more of a cleansing thing through your gut. We also need these soluble fibers, which you're going to get through like guar gum and locust bean and a few other places in diet that most of us are not paying attention to. Those are what's creating that gelatin thickening action in this that's really helping with the blood sugars. It's those other fibers from those other foods. So it's really a combination of fibers that's really doing well. And we used to get this variety of fibers and combination in our diets. We just don't now. So if you feel like you can do it without, amazing for you. A number of people have, but most of us just don't have. I don't have the time to figure all that out. I'm figuring out everything else. But I love this drink. I know that when I do this, I'm more regular. I know that my energy is better. I know that the sugar spikes are less. Look at how thick that's getting. And this is happening in my stomach, and that's starting to thicken up. Now, if I were to eat soon, the sugar spike would be at least 20% less from anything I eat now, and that's going to help. Seeds, some seeds are helpful, but not, I wouldn't look at all of them. And again, I'm not a seed expert, but I can talk about that another time. So that's the fiber. We're going to get the link in because I've said that so many times and you guys are being so patient with me. I appreciate that. And I'm going to go open up the link to the cleanse on my link tree just for this few days so that you guys can take a look at that. You guys, I'm questioning my sanity because I'm going to start a cleanse on June 1st and I'm going to be traveling. That could be devastating, but hopefully about 2 weeks into the cleanse, it won't be as bad. And I've done it so many times now. If you want to do a month-long cleanse with me and just walk through it, see what can change for your health, let me know. And let's do it all together. But I'm going to start June 1st with this parasite cleanse, in addition to the insulin resistance control that I'm already working on. So sorry, guys, that took so long. That's the link to get the tea. Okay. So again, it's a tea in the morning, a tea in the afternoon, and a pre-meal drink before you eat anything. It's a system. What was the product I used for bile, no gallbladder? If you go to, I can tell you it's just ox bile. But if you go to let's take a look, because if you go to my link up here in Facebook or sorry, TikTok, there will be a link to my web page. And on my web page, one of the top tabs is my recommendations. So like the ox bile, the digestive enzymes, which I just switched to a different digestive enzyme, trying to reduce the amylase in my enzymes. And I can talk about that later. But the books from by Dr. Bickman, by Dr. Fung, by Dr. Giles Yao, all talking about nutrition and insulin resistance. Those are there. Yep, let me fix that. I haven't gone over to Linktree yet and fixed it. So let's take care of it right now while I'm talking. Um, and I'll get that link open. You should see the Bone Fortify there. I'll probably take that one down for now because you guys, the reason I don't leave those up all the time, because I want you to understand something. The biggest piece to getting your overall health better is going to be the system. These other things are pieces that I've added in to try and like optimize. But the big piece that changed everything for me and has changed everything for numbers of people is just the system, the tea in the morning and the pre-meal drink before you eat anything. Don't skip that. But if you want to add the cleanse and stuff in, please do. So, So I'm going to add another thing in there just because we're talking about gut microbiome and the liver. One of the other things that I do, because you guys look at, I do a lot because my health got so bad. I was insulin resistant for almost 40 years and it did a lot of damage to my body. So I'm now not only trying to fix the insulin resistance, but the damage that the insulin resistance caused. So I do a little bit of extra things because that's where my body's at. So the cleanse is up on my link tree now. Now the other thing I do is this probiotic. It is a probiotic. So let's get this straight. Those biotics in your gut, that's what's giving you health. The good gut bacteria are helping keep inflammation down. The parasites and the bad bacteria are keeping inflammation up, and that actually exacerbates your insulin resistance. Inflammation can cause insulin resistance. Insulin resistance can cause inflammation. Either way, we want the inflammation in the gut down. So this is a prebiotic. The probiotics in your gut feed off of this to be healthy and strong. Okay, we need prebiotics. Just adding in probiotics doesn't help. Prebiotics are extremely important. So I do this. But now, because I had IBS, because I had a number of gut issues, because I have my gallbladder out, because I have all that, because nobody told me about insulin resistance early on, now I'm struggling with all these things. That's why I'm here talking. I add probiotics. You'll see it on my my list as well. So in addition to this, I do the probiotics along with this every day. It's in a similar tube, but it's smaller. It's kind of like a pixie stick that I just pour on my tongue and take in, and that's helping build up the probiotics in my system. And so thank you. So Buddhaban, love your videos. Thank you so much. I've learned a lot watching you. Thank you so much. You guys, I spend a lot of time doing the research, but I'm going to tell you some of the things that I learned, because, we have to, I'm a purpose-driven person. Give me a purpose. I'll find it out. But the questions you guys ask and the information you need, when I go, okay, like I know a lot, but I'm also thinking, what's new out there? What have I not talked about? What does everybody need to hear about these situations that we haven't already brought forth? I mean, bringing forth a lot of it over and over is important, because even when I talk about everything, you're going to only remember about 20% of what I said. So even me repeating it, you're going to come back and go, oh, hey, I didn't hear that last time. But doing this research and finding these symptoms, like I knew about the club nails, I knew about the yellowed skin, did not know about the cracked heels. So I'm learning right along with you guys. And I think it's such a joy that I'm at a place in my life where I both get to learn and teach and fill my soul and help people out. So thank you all for being here and allowing me the platform to do this kind of work. Without you, I wouldn't be here. And so thank you. Thank you for being here with me every day and asking the questions you ask. And, even giving me comments and feedback like Janet did. Now I have some more stuff to look at. And Janet, I honestly, truthfully look forward to speaking with you and learning some more from where I can. I don't always listen to just the people who are in alignment with what I believe. I listen to people who, as hard as it is, it's like nails on chalkboard sometimes, and I think it's that way for all of us. Thank you, YGP. Thank you so much. Um, but I want to hear the other side. I want to know, is there something I'm missing? Do I believe what they're saying? Do I need to add something different? So when I'm doing research, I'm trying to look at a bunch of different avenues. Now, I will say that, there is a big divide out there right now between vegans and carnivore, right? Everybody thinks they're in their right. What I want to say is this: if it's right for you, it's right for you. If it's right for you, it may not be right for the other person within the bigger picture. But some boundaries, some things that we all need are all the same. So we need protein, however you're getting your protein in. And I will say that animal proteins tend to be digested better by us than the plant proteins. And that's a whole other talk. Proteins and fats are extremely important. Proteins should always be paired with fats. If you're vegetarian and you're eating primarily fruits and vegetables, you need to understand that just because you're vegetarian doesn't mean it's healthier. You have to take a look at those grains and the breads and the added sugars in all the stuff you're eating, and understand that those foods are very different than they were 50 years ago. So carbohydrates all need to be paired with fiber. So I add in fiber because even if I'm doing carnivore, some of that's being converted into glucose, but it's not about the glucose control for me at that point. It's about feeding my gut bacteria. It's about getting other nutrients in that I just believe our bodies need. So that's it. How I reversed mine and how a number of people are doing it are just this. Like I said, I have 2 tea in there, but it's generally a tea when I wake up in the morning, gives me energy, gives me mental clarity, boosts my mood. You guys, this tea has taken I don't know, how about you? Like, I was so depressed, anxious, and just like when my kids were gone, when my kids were still at home, I remember the weekends they were with their dad, I would lay in bed and pray because I would never take my own life, but I was over it. I was so over this life. I've had a lot of PTSD and trauma in my life. I've had 20 broken bones. I've had a number of surgeries. I've had an amazing life in many, many ways, but there's been a lot of trauma in my life. And I used to be so depressed, I would lay in bed when the kids were gone and cry so loud that I know the neighbors heard me and beg God to not let me wake up in the morning because I was done. I don't have any of those days anymore, ever. Okay. What I want people to understand is insulin resistance affects your brain health too. This anxiety, depression, brain fog, all of that. This tea helps with that. This tea helps you with your wellness score. In a short study, it improved people's wellness score, that feeling of well-being, by 70%. So anxiety, depression, fatigue, this tea's helping with that. It's not just helping with sugar levels and fasting and keeping you fuller longer, and anti-inflammation properties and anti-cancer properties, and stuff that helps with your brain function as far as neural pathways and neural signaling in your brain, so that you're getting the right signals: brain fog, fatigue, anxiety. This helps with all of that. But that one peptide called glucagon-like peptide that everybody's talking about right now, this increases it in your system naturally. Your system makes glucagon-like peptide. In the presence of insulin resistance and sugar, it's not producing enough of it for you to experience satiety, for you to experience this kind of well-being. This tea helps increase that naturally by 70%, allowing you to feel fuller longer, allowing you to have that verve for life where you're happier and you're just able to deal with stresses much better. The tea helps with all of that. Besides the blood sugar control, besides the insulin control, it's helping with all of those things. So most people find that they do a tea in the morning, they have great energy. You don't get energy crashes, by the way. You don't get any of that. You will be surprised at the energy you get and how different it feels. But then a lot of us are super busy and really stressful lives, but we're sedentary at the same time, and we're just needing energy. We come back after lunch and we have an afternoon crash, or we're having some breakthrough hunger and we're wanting to snack. So wanting to snack, instead, have a tea. Have a tea. You'll start to notice that the cravings are starting to go down for you, that you still have the energy to make it through the rest of the afternoon. You're not having crashes. Now you get home to your family, you're happier, you're in a mood that can deal with them better. The tea does all of that. It's not just about the blood sugar control. That's why the tea is so important. And then the fiber, we've already talked about the fiber. This is about blood sugar control. This is about triglyceride control. And this is about getting nutrients in and getting you to be able to absorb nutrients properly so you're not nutrient deficient. The one big thing with insulin resistance is too much of negative nutrients like sugars and starches, and that's causing us to lose muscle. In a number of ways, it's causing us to be less able to absorb nutrients. We talked about vitamin A. We talked about vitamin B3 this morning. Those nutrients are all across the board that we're not getting in enough because of insulin resistance. So this helps with all of that. You just go to my profile. We're going to take a look right now. So the probiotics and the cleanse are up now for those who are interested. Let's take a look. Now, TikTok, somebody said something, and whatever, that's your life. But I was showing this screen and they were like, oh, I was broadcasting somebody else's live, and that's just not true. So you guys don't be silly. So let's show you what this is going to look like, and then we're going to head out today. Thank you all for hanging out for so long. It's been a long one, but it's been, for me, a very, very good one today. Appreciate all the comments and the questions. Let's see. I got to get this down. Okay. So, and you go to my, when you go to my profile, when you tap on my profile picture next to this live, it will take you to my profile page. There'll be a white box pop up below because I'm on the live. Just click on that again. It'll take you to my profile. When you get there, you'll see this red light right here. Right under it is the link. You click on that link and it's going to take you to my link tree. I've simplified it for everyone. If you just need to talk with me and find out if this is right for you or how this could help you or any of those things, just text me. You guys, I spend a lot of time on the phone. Even if you're not my client, I spend a lot of time because I really want to help people. All right. Then there's my website. You can get to that and you'll be able to order the system right from my website. There's a directional link thing. Just click on this. It's my work through right now. But if you were interested in the system, that very top one, Feel Great, that's where you're going to get the teas and the fiber. It should have my name on the top, and you'll see that it took you now to the company's website. And that's important because if it's not taking you to the company's website to buy, it's not an authorized seller, and you're not getting the guarantees, the low price guarantee, the 90-day guarantee, all of that. The probiotics I was talking about are on here right now as well. Again, it's just a little packet like this that I rip open, dump on my tongue, tastes great, go about my day. It's not powder, it's not like dry and icky. And it's actually kind of pleasurable to take. That's giving me good probiotics in my system. Okay. So that's where you're going to find all of that. And you guys over on Facebook and YouTube, the link I put in there is the same. It's going to take you to this same page. So just do the same thing. Once you click on this link, it's going to get you here. So you have those couple of choices. All right. I appreciate you all. And we haven't talked about the info on the prebiotics, so that one, you're just going to go to my website. Here, let's just open up that link. I've been playing with some ways to do this. You guys, I really love having conversations and I want to help you, but some of you guys have already done this. So I'm going to open up one more tab on my links tree right now, and then we'll take a look at that. So now this should be opened up. So here's the thing. The fiber and stuff, you want that. It's the system I use right here, the second tab down. That's where you're going to click for the prebiotics and the tea that are the system that I use to reverse my insulin resistance and diabetes. So that's that. You guys, I appreciate you. We'll see you tomorrow. What I was starting to say is, I don't know. What I'm going to talk about tomorrow.
Could you try again? I'm glad you think it's funny.
My computer is trying to tell me for some reason. I don't know what that's about. All right. I know that earlier this week I said thyroid, liver, PCOS, or autism. Which did you guys want me to cover? And it was said to do liver today. Is there something? So out of those three or whatever, if somebody mentioned skin takes, I skipped over that. So we'll do these four. Do you guys want me to talk about skin? Do you want me to talk about thyroid, PCOS, or how this all relates to autism and mental disorders tomorrow? So if you want me to talk about skin, put a 1 in. If you want me to talk about thyroid, put a 2 in. If it's PCOS and erectile dysfunction, do a 3. And if it's autism and mental health disorders, put a 4 in. So most people are saying 2 right now. So we'll talk about thyroid tomorrow. Ro wants to talk about autism. And I really want to talk about autism. So how about we do thyroid tomorrow and we'll do autism Monday? Because I think the more I talk about autism, and the reason I talk about it is because there's a lot of people either don't know what it is, they don't understand how to address it, they don't understand how insulin resistance is exacerbating the problems. And so the more I talk about my own autism and how much better it's gotten with the system, the more I have people reach out to me and say, my sister, my father, my brother, my daughter, my whatever has it as well, and I'm struggling to help them. So then I have these conversations with how this has changed my life and how it helps. And I think it's important to get out there. So we'll do that on Monday. So thyroid tomorrow and autism on Monday. And again, my thing is insulin resistance. I am not an expert on everything out there. I just am linking in the things that insulin resistance are causing us problem with, because when we understand that insulin resistance is at the root of almost every disease and disorder we have today, we can start to take control of our health without all the medications, without all the damage, and hopefully have you guys not end up in the state I'm at, where heart is an issue, the gallbladder's gone, I've lost 3 joints. I don't want anybody else to live like this, right? I want you guys to know the damage that's being caused early on so you can stop it and not end up here. All right. So we'll see you guys in the morning. And Ro, thanks for joining me again today. I've got to go drink some water and my tea and get my voice back. All right, you guys have a great one. We'll see you in the morning, and I will be here at 8:30 tomorrow. Why am I thinking tomorrow is Friday? I don't know. So here's the thing. We're going to change that. Thyroid tomorrow, autism Friday. Okay? And then we'll deal with next week on Friday. Thyroid and then autism. Join me in the morning if you have anyone who that you know is suffering with any of these things, and let's start to find help for them and you. I'm sorry. It's Eastern time, 8:30 Eastern time in the morning. Now, I know I've played with going live a little bit later in the afternoon. If somebody is like, I just can't make it, and can you do a live like on Wednesday afternoon or Thursday afternoon? I'm more than happy to do an additional live once a week at a later time. So I'm still blown away by the amount of white paint that's still in my hair. All right, you guys, we'll see you in the morning. Thyroid tomorrow. We're going to talk about thyroid, how insulin resistance is messing with your thyroid hormones. And maybe I'll throw in a little bit about how having your gallbladder removed is messing with the thyroid, and it all is linked back to insulin resistance. So we'll see you in the morning. All right, I hope you guys found your answers, and we'll talk to you later. You're so welcome, Elena. We'll talk to you guys later. Bye, guys. Thank you, Janet, Danette, Joanna, thank you guys.